we are greeted to the return of Commodus to Rome. And the death of Marcus Aurelius is very sad. In fact, the lighting's all gray as we're entering Rome. And there's talk in the Senate. There's some back and forth. Joaquin Phoenix says, I'm going to liquidate you guys. Not really. He doesn't say that. But he
pretty much
mentions it. And then the sister steps in and kind of cools things down. And then they go off and kind of cool in each other's corner. So lots of political talk, lots of stuff going on. And then we get the shot of the Roman arena.
You missed the first Are You Not Entertained, actually.
No, he says that later.
It's in the next part.
It's in the next part.
Is it?
Yeah. But he will say that as soon. But what do you guys think of all the political turmoil, the intro to the games, the guy's eating grapes, which is against Ridley Scott's thing. He's eating grapes in the movie.
Can't have Rome without grapes.
Yeah. So I don't know, right before we get to Are You Entertained, what do you think of all this transition in power and as Maximus is building his way up in the sands of Zucchini Bar?
I think it's good at pointing out the turmoil. It gets that across kind of how nobody really likes politics except for the politicians. You know, like everybody's always scheming and plotting and planning. And so even Commodus coming back, you know, he's like, you know what? I just don't want to play this game. You know, it's like, I'm just going to kill you all and get on, move on with my life. And, you know, his sister, you know, has the cooler head and is like, you can't kill them all blatantly, you know, at least, you know, you got to take your time and slowly take one out at a time or whatever. But she definitely leaned again a little more towards like her father's philosophy of, they imply that, you know, that to eventually give it back to the state or whatever, or at least work with the state, use the state is what she implies a lot there, for your good. So it definitely is. I think it does well at setting the stage for like what you're kind of expecting. Cause as I said, he definitely, Joaquin leans heavily on the basically, I'm going to liquidate you guys without actually saying it per se.
Yeah.
And it shows too that they don't really like him also, you know? And so it does just a really good job of portraying what they're trying to get across, I feel.
Yeah. And two, this part is kind of like we see like kind of the beginnings of sort of how these two groups, you have the Commodus, and then you have the senators kind of like clashing, and basically they sort of both come to the idea of like, okay, if we get enough people on our side, then we can make a move and take out the other side, kind of a thing.
It's a mutual thing, yeah. Both of them know that they don't like each other and they want to kill each other. So
yeah. And they're just waiting on that right moment where they can, you know, get enough support behind them to actually make the move, kind of a thing.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how, I mean, it brings good like drama into it, I think. And even though it's, I guess, historically inaccurate, it's still good and fun. And yeah, it's still a good, you know, movie, I would say, in that sense. So, and I think overall, like, there's no like bad acting in this at all, except for, I don't know, maybe a scream from a Gladiator too, or there's, you know, I don't think there's really any negativity in that area, but.
And it's also like, it's a good setup for the, you know, the third act of the film is because you have, like Commodus essentially stating that the way how he's going to get the people on his side so that he can get enough support to make a move and murk the other side is he's going to bring back the games.
Bring back the games.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's like debate between the senators, like, are you guys gonna, I can't believe he's doing this. This is so stupid, and he wants to take all the power for himself. And then like the sister's like, no, chill out, dude. Like there's a way to do this, you know, and she's also trying to stay alive as well. So
totally.
Yeah. So Matt, you got anything on this?
Not a whole lot.
Lots of drab coloring.
Yeah. This one's a little bit fuzzy in my mind. Not a standout part, but
well, you know what is a standout part though? Are you entertained?
Yeah. Are you not entertained?
Which is our next part. He goes and just slaughters like 20 dudes, and Oliver Reed's character's like, you know, bro, just give us some time. You know, people pay a lot of money to watch you do it. Maybe make it a little showy, you know. And I think that was in the extended cut that we watched.
Yeah.
But not
a little WWE,
with that exact accent as well, but not in the regular cut. But anyway, he goes out there, murders all these dudes. Are you not entertained? I read somewhere that there's the most famous, I think, behind the scenes thing from this movie, besides Oliver Reed passing away, was Russell Crowe being really mad at the writing, saying nobody would say this, and this is I don't want to say this, and then he couldn't ad-lib something better, so he just stuck to the script, and so he kept saying, he kind of latched onto "Are you not entertained?" as like his thing, like, come on Ridley, like, are you not entertained? Like, I'm an actor, I'm the greatest actor alive, you know. That was the quote that was actually came out of this movie apparently.
Definitely, I think the most iconic. From that, everybody knows that it's become meme worthy even.
Yeah. So after this, we get Oliver Reed saying, I'm going to take you to Rome, pal. And even though I hate you, I love you. You're a good kid. And then Jimon Hansu talks to Russell Crowe. I want to say about his family or something on the buildings or whatnot. And then we're off to Rome, off to the races. And all the slaves pile out. They're looking at they're looking at the statues, and Oliver Reed kisses the foot of a statue with his hand, and he's like, I love this place. I'm back in my home country. And then he's like, all right, baby, let's get to training. So after that, we get Joaquin Phoenix being really creepy, watching little boy sleep from Unbreakable. The kid from Unbreakable. And he talks to the sister. We're getting ready for the fight. There's political talk. The kid finds Russell Crowe and starts talking to him. He's like, yo, you're my dad. And then, and then we basically go to the first one. And I want to just say, the shot of them going into the arena was so freaking cool. Like, it just sets the stage. It gets the mood finalized as we're in Rome. And also it's awesome because like half of that, arena they custom built to make it much larger looking versus the original Roman Colosseum. But they only made half of it because they're like, well, we can digitally alter it and copy and paste some stuff, and it's really effective. Like, it also aged really well. This being 24 years old, pretty well done. So
it's not like Terminator,
we get the fake ginger guy announcing the fight, and we get the fight between the people on the horses and Russell Crowe and his crew. And apparently they're supposed to die and lose this fight.
The Battle of Carthage.
Yeah.
Carthage?
So basically, it's supposed to be Rome versus Carthage as led by Hannibal. And so historically in this battle, the Romans were victorious. And so this is kind of a recreation of that battle for the entertainment of the people of Rome, and giving them some pride in their history and all that. And so these Russell Crowe and his crew are playing the Carthaginians, and well, they're much like Hulk Hogan and versus Andre the Giant. There was a Andre the Giant was it was his time to bow out. He had to
take a knee.
I know you were gonna pull that. That's a wonderful pull, by the way. That's awesome. The people out there that actually know wrestling that are listening to this, which is probably very few, they're loving you right now. Oh, Matt, what do you think of this whole fight scene with being the Carthagins versus the Rothagans and whatever they're called, and
the Rothagans.
Oh, and the clip that we saw, the shot that they kept in the film of a CO2 tank underneath.
You see the CO2 tank.
Yeah, the CO2 tank
underneath the
carriage.
The carriage.
Pause it just right.
So what do you think of all this? This is pretty fun.
Man,
a lady gets cut in half. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that. Wow.
The one chick that was with.
She was on the chariot. She was one of the archers or whatever, and they knocked her off.
I do remember the girl on the chariot. But,
I don't remember her getting cut in half.
She sure does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man. Well, there's like two of them because I think they have like double of each of the chariots and all that stuff.
Okay.
It also kind of like showing, him kind of starting his camaraderie with the people, because he kind of like there he tells them who he is. Like, hey, I used to be a general. They all knew from his tattoo that he used to be in the army, and he's like, so like, if you guys listen to me, we'll make it out of here. Because also being a soldier, he probably knows the history and kind of knows a little bit of it. So he knows again that they're supposed to lose, and so he knows they're fighting a losing battle, but able to pull them together and kind of forming his band of merry men, to fight the system. So it's kind of the beginning in many ways of the rebellion, if you would say. Because again, he's changing history again, also, to the other implication there, the foreshadowing and all that fun stuff with the cinematography. But yeah, just the Colosseum is just so epic, especially for like that time and just how huge, it would be like, so especially, you're coming from, a little farm town, which, the little shack or something. And then you come to this giant, at least, I don't know how many stories that is tall it is, but it's like huge. It's like one of the biggest things probably at the time, And
it's still, partially standing today. But yeah, we get then lots of impressive looks. The people are loving it. Oh my God, this guy's amazing. Who could he possibly be? And Joaquin Phoenix like, hey, yo, I got my kid in front of me to protect me, so you won't kill my buddy. So, and he's like, what's your name? And he's like, no, don't turn away from me. And he turns away. And then he's like, how dare you turn your back on the king? Or Caesar, Caesar, And then like...
Which means king.
And then he turns around and he's like, I'm your daddy. No, I'm Maximus and I'm back, baby. And then Joaquin has a choice to kill them. He decides against it because he knows the people are going to be on their side. So he makes the wise call at the time to not murder Maximus and his crew.
Well, yeah, because the whole thing too is like, it's his goal of having the games is to get the crowd on his side, and the crowd wants him to save him because he just did this epic thing. He changed history, in the arena because they, everybody knows, that he was supposed to lose. Somehow he pulls together this giant win, and so even though he like disgraces Caesar a little bit or whatever, it's kind of like meh. I was like, but he was so entertaining. We were entertained.
I can't help it.
Everybody loves a good entertainer. So it's that kind of again also foreshadowing sets the mood where he actually ends up in some ways taking control of what they call the mob, the people over the Caesar, because the whole goal of Caesar here is to get the mob behind him so he can take out the Senate. Whereas like here, Maximus ends up taking over their cheer, their happiness, their stuff like that. He becomes the hero of the story versus Caesar being the hero. So,
and Joaquin Phoenix, can we just say his acting is really good in this? Like, he's such a not just a bad guy, but I think David, you brought this up, or Matt, or Nick, somebody, where he's a lovable evil guy.
I said that he's someone you love to hate.
Yeah.
It's like you just like he's so hateable, like so hateable.
I mean, he is Joaquin Phoenix. Let's be real.
He's got that punchable face.
He's got that lip, David.
Yeah, that hair lip.
Hair lip. Yep.
But yeah, Joaquin Phoenix is definitely the perfect choice for as far as casting goes. He definitely just he gets across just how awful of a person Commodus is.
And I love how like after this he was also in Signs like 2 years later.
It's
like a side character. He's like, hey, I'll be the counterpart to Mel Gibson in this, so all right, so what's next? We have he's taken to prison, I think, or no, he's taken somewhere, and then the queen bids his like presence. And then she like cloak and dagger sneaks in there and talks to him. And he's
no. She doesn't sneak in there. Basically, she goes in under the pretense of she's a Roman noblewoman, so she could, have her way with the gladiators if she so desires.
Yes. You pay money basically, and you can have a night with your favorite gladiator.
So she kind of uses that that privilege as a sort of cover to go and talk to him to get some privacy, basically.
Because that's one of the other things. Like gladiators, we think of as slaves, and which they were, but they were well taken care of slaves, especially if you were good, because they want to keep. It's kind of in some ways like you're looking for Valhalla or something like that, So leading up to your great glorious death, we're going to give you a pretty nice life. I mean, you can't go anywhere else, but it's like you're locked out, but you get women, you get food, you get all.
Well, they would eat ash and stuff. Like they would eat different things that would enhance their muscles and stuff like this, and different things the Romans thought would do that biologically. And
one thing too is this movie is slightly inaccurate about the historical element. Here is gladiators in ancient Rome actually were not like born to die. Like for the most, from what I've seen, from the research I've done, it seems like gladiators dying was more of a rarity. And the reasoning behind keeping gladiators alive is because they put so much resources into training them. If they die, that's a loss that the person who invested in them has to take. So realistically, the idea that, you know, all of them were just born to die is kind of not really realistic.
Yeah, it's like you had talked about at the night of it we were watching too. Whereas typically, the gladiator then would actually like fight someone who actually was scheduled to die or whatever because you had stolen or whatever.
Animal.
So you would be the finish. You'd be basically the executioner. You do it in a fun, entertaining way. You'd execute somebody who has no idea how to fight at all. So you could play with them and all that type of thing.
Yeah, the people who actually died in the gladiatorial games were like people like runaway slaves
and Christians.
And Christians. Yeah, who were they were condemned to death, and so you know, Rome thought it was a good idea to make their execution a little more entertaining.
You get a chance. So we give you a sword, you know, and then you get to fight this super gladiator soldier. If you can beat him, then we'll let you go.
And then a lot more arranged fights between two gladiators that is already agreed upon. Like a WWE of
totally.
That's exactly what it is.
You don't want to lose your Dwayne Johnson or your John Cena.
So they're both getting recognition.
It was clearly more dangerous than the, you know, WWE because they actually had like real swords and stuff. But you
don't think a folding chair is just as deadly?
I don't know, back in the day, they had the razor blades and they cut themselves, you know. For, to make it bleed. Or,
this is the modern Jake Paul, Mike Tyson.
But yes, it's but yeah, definitely the gladiator on gladiator fights were definitely more of a scripted affair.
Yes, agreed upon.
Well, speaking of Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, the next fight we have in the arena is of this old retired gladiator and Russell Crowe.
So fitting.
So fitting. So we have them going out there. Russell Crowe and Oliver Reed are arguing again. I don't even know Oliver Reed's name, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to keep calling him Oliver Reed. Oliver Reed's like telling him, "No, Maximus, you have more to live for. Why are you doing this? You do this to democracy and then Russell Crowe just runs away up the stairs,
making me think of Star Wars.
Yeah. And so just
this
like
is for democracy,
and just like in Attack of the Clones, they go out and there's animals and tigers and bears.
Oh my!
And then he starts fighting Mike Tyson in this fight with a bunch of tigers.
The Batu Sulutu
tigers, which I really
Tigers
love.
Tyson.
This is probably my favorite fight of the whole film. This was really entertaining, and even the CGI tigers at moments still really work. Like you can barely tell at times.
I couldn't tell.
And also, that's one thing I love about some of the CGI in the 90s and 2000s, early 2000s, is they just show you it just for a second and then they cut away.
Yeah.
Like it's barely noticeable because there's a lot of shots like that.
Yeah, it's another thing. Like you don't need to show the whole thing. You just need to get the imagination to go.
Exactly.
So I can imagine those tigers doing what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like in that Giant Bunny movie.
Giant.
Wasn't I telling you about that?
Maybe.
No. What are you talking about?
When you say bunny movie, all I think is Donnie Darko.
I can't remember.
Harvey? Is that what you're talking about? No, that's not. No, that doesn't matter. What?
No,
What does that have to do with Gladiator?
What reminded me of it was the idea you show it and then it's gone.
Showing not. It's showing and then it's gone.
Because the movie that's playing in the Matrix, when he goes to visit the Oracle and the kid's bending the spoon, and there's like the bunny rabbits rampaging on the street. That's an actual like horror movie where they like make mutated bunny rabbits. And it's a really ridiculous movie, but the thing that reminded me of it was like they were actually like the scenes with the giant bunnies. They were trying to actually use actual bunnies with miniatures. So in order to, they were like cutting that with footage of the actors in full size sets. So in order to make it as realistic as possible, they had to like where you would see in scenes where you would see both the actors and the bunnies, they would have to like cut to the bunnies like coming into the house real quickly and then immediately cut away back to a shot of the actor's face just to minimize that chance that you could be like, hey, that's a miniature and then that's not a miniature, you know? Kind of
VHSs weren't as easy to pause. I was like,
yeah, seriously.
In the resolution.
Yeah, you know, kind of. But yeah, it's the same thing with these CGI tigers. You only see them for like a fraction of a second at a time.
Well, also, I was looking at behind the scenes as well. They're not just CGI tigers. They film them on a green screen and then they put them in here.
Oh,
so I think that's what is throwing me off. They're not full CGI.
Okay.
But a lot of the points where they're trying to reach for Russell Crowe and trying to kill him, they're filmed in front of a green screen and then inserted that way.
Yeah, but it's still the same.
It's still the same thing.
Yeah,
because it's like if they had extended shots of the tigers, you would be able to tell.
Yeah.
But because it's just like, you know, little bit at a time, you're like, it seems seamless because there's not enough time for your brain to actually notice all the details that would trip you, you know, that would trip you up, produce that uncanny valley effect.
So one thing they really do in that a lot, they do a lot of those quick cut scenes like that, like pow, 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 popping all around. So it kind of like also, you know, builds the intensity of it. You're like, oh, all this stuff's going on and my mind's going, ah.
Yeah.
But definitely tastefully because like what comes to mind is like the new Star Wars films. There's quick cuts everywhere, and it's distasteful. It's terrible.
And then there's the super long shots where it's just CG, and all this kind of stuff. So it's not tactfully used.
Yeah, exactly.
At all. But it is in this. So speaking of Mike Tyson, he doesn't kill Mike Tyson, where everybody's holding their breath and they're like, "Is you gonna kill him?" And then they look at Walking Fish. He's like, "Thumbs down, do it!" And then he's like, "Rawr," and he throws away the weapon and he doesn't kill.
Disrespect
again. Defying the government.
Yeah, defying the government, getting the people on your side.
Angsty teen.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, and before this, I forgot the soup scene where the Germanic soldier eats Russell Crowe's food. He's like, "Are you gonna eat it?" And he's like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Okay," he thinks it's poison. And so the Germanic soldier, he's like, "I'm gonna," and so he eats it and he's like, and then he like pretends to die and he's like, "Oh no, I'm joking, whatever. You're not gonna get killed this way. They're probably gonna get you in the arena."
Puny Roman.
I don't know. In Roman history, they would poison you too. They weren't shy of using.
Yeah, they weren't shy of that tactic. You know,
the more of the optics of it. If they could get away with it, they would have done it, and they would poison you.
Yeah. So after this.